Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a big one. Elon Musk's vision for, well, for pretty much everything. We're talking about a roadmap that starts with your social media feed and ends up questioning the very nature of reality itself. It's a wild ride.
So let's kick things off with this quote, because it's kind of the key to his whole mindset. You know, we all look at his companies and see these big, bold answers to problems. But for Musk, it's not about having the answers. It's about building the tools to figure out what the real questions are in the first place.
Okay, so our journey into his thinking starts somewhere we all know, right? The social media platform X. But here's the thing. For Musk, this was never just about buying a social network, not even close.
So his whole stated purpose for buying Twitter, it wasn't really a typical business play. He talked a lot about wanting to create what he called a global town square. You know, a digital space where people can actually say what they want to say, a real hub for open conversation.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, he had a very specific diagnosis for what he thought was wrong with old Twitter. He basically said, look, this thing is based in San Francisco and it's amplifying a far-left worldview. So his goal, his guiding principle for X, was to steer it back to the center, to create a platform that follows the local laws everywhere it operates, but doesn't, as he put it, put a thumb on the scale ideologically.
But okay, that's just step one. This whole global town square idea, it's really just the launch pad for something way, way bigger. It's the foundation for what he's really trying to build.
And boom, here it is. This quote gets right to the heart of it. This isn't just about posts and videos. He's trying to wire up the entire planet, to create a collective consciousness, a way for all of humanity to think together, to become something more.
So, collective consciousness. I know, it sounds a little out there, right? A bit sci-fi. But he has this really great way of explaining it, an analogy that makes it all click. Think about it like this. You start with one cell. On its own, it can't do much, but you put 30 trillion of them together, and suddenly you have a human being who can think, create, talk. It's a massive leap. Now take that human. One person, no matter how smart, can't build a spaceship. But a collective of humans? A group sharing high-quality information? Now you're building rockets. It's all about that emergent capability you get from connecting the parts. Okay, but why? Why is this so important to him? It's not just about building better technology or solving engineering problems. For Musk, this whole thing about expanding our collective consciousness, it has a much, much deeper purpose. It's about tackling the ultimate mystery. He actually talks about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy a lot. You know the story, right? This supercomputer spits out the answer to life, the universe, and everything, and it's 42. Amazing! Except nobody knows what the actual question was. And that's his point. The universe is the ultimate mystery. And right now, we're so limited we don't even know the right questions to ask. By building this collective mind, maybe, just maybe, we can get smart enough to figure them out.
So this whole idea of leveling up humanity's intelligence, it's not just some philosophical daydream. There's a real sense of urgency here for Musk. He believes we need this upgrade to navigate what's coming next. And what's coming, well, he describes it as a force of nature.
A supersonic tsunami. I mean, that's some serious language. He's not talking about a gentle wave of change. He's talking about a massive, overwhelming force of AI and robotics that's going to hit us, and it's going to reshape everything, starting with one of the most fundamental parts of human life, work.
Just look at this timeline he lays out. He's saying that today, yeah, most of us have to work to live. But in less than 20 years, he thinks work will be optional, like a hobby, something you do if you feel like it. And after that, we hit the singularity. That's the point of no return, where technology just takes off on its own. And frankly, nobody has a clue what happens next.
So what's on the other side of this tsunami? He paints a picture of a world of complete and total abundance. Think about it, a future where if you can think of it, you can have it. Any product, any service, just there, on demand. All thanks to AI and robotics.
Okay, so let's pause for a second. In a world with no jobs and endless stuff, what happens to money? The thing our entire civilization is built on. What's its purpose then?
Well, to get Musk's answer, you have to completely rethink what money even is. Forget about gold or dollar bills. From his perspective, money is just an information system. It's a big database for one thing, allocating human labor. It's just a way to keep track of who's doing what work.
And once you see it that way, the conclusion is kind of obvious. If robots and AI are doing all the work, why do you need a database to track human labor? You don't. Money just becomes obsolete. It disappears. The only real currency left in that world is energy. Why? Because you can't just legislate more energy into existence. It's governed by the laws of physics.
Okay, so we've gone from social media to collective consciousness to a world without money, and now we're going to take the final leap. This is where it gets really out there. We're moving from economics into the nature of reality itself.
You've probably heard him talk about this one, the big question. Are we living in a simulation? And for him, this isn't just some late-night philosophical musings. He actually has a logical argument for why the odds are pretty high that we are. And his whole argument is built on video games.
Yeah, video games. The logic is actually really simple. Just think about the progress. 50 years ago, we had Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot. Today, we have massive photorealistic online worlds with millions of players. So he says, just follow that trend line. Where does it end up? Inevitably, we're going to create games or simulations that are completely, 100% indistinguishable from reality.
And if that's true, if simulations that are just as real as our world are possible, then that leads to a pretty mind-blowing statistical problem. Think about it. There would be only one original base reality, but potentially billions or trillions of simulations. So, what are the odds that we just happen to be in the one and only original? Statistically, they're not great.
And he leaves us with this one last twist. He says, think about it. If you were running a simulation, would you keep the boring ones going? No way. You'd shut them down and look for the interesting stuff, the chaotic stuff. So if we are in a simulation, the fact that it's still running means it must be one of the interesting ones. Which really makes you look around and wonder, our world is pretty interesting, isn't it?